1943 was the year the Air Force first came up with the idea that the President of the United States was likely better off traveling in his own plane, as there were safety issues with the leader sitting among the hoi polloi on commercial jetliners. That year, a somewhat uncomfortable-looking bomber called the C-87 Liberator Express was fitted out to carry a VIP, and it was renamed the Guess Where 2. But that didn't quite work out, as this plane didn't have the best safety record, and so it was replaced with the C-54 Skymaster. This was also converted to carry a VIP, and it went by the name of Sacred Cow. In 1945, it took its first trip carrying Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the presidential plane was born. Today, we'll see how these planes have developed in this episode of the Infographics Show. Why does the Air Force One fridge cost $24 million? In case you don't know, Air Force One isn't the name of an aircraft, but any aircraft that carries the commander-in-chief. It's really just the radio call sign used by the plane, but we have come to know Air Force One as the plane itself. The White House official website tells us that the president can choose any number of ways to travel, and Air Force One is just one option. That website states that the planes belonging to Air Force One right now are two Boeing 747-200Bs, except of course they're no ordinary planes and have been highly customized for the big man in charge and his entourage. We'll get around to just how customized soon, but first let's look at some other details. We should also mention that on Boeing's website the company states that the 747-200s will soon be replaced with 747-8s. You can't miss the plane, as emblazoned across it are the words United States of America, and of course it also comes with the Stars and Stripes flag. The White House tells us that it has an undeniable presence wherever it flies, but it's not just aesthetically unique. This plane is capable of refueling in midair, so for all intents and purposes, the president could just keep flying as long as he wanted to. We're told that without refueling, it could stay in the air for around 15 to 17 hours. It can fly at speeds of up to 700 miles per hour and could reach heights of 45,100 feet. Boeing tells us that the current planes have an area of 4,000 square feet, making each plane what it calls a flying Oval Office. It has three main levels, the bottom mostly for cargo, the middle for passengers, and the top for communications. It certainly sounds a bit more comfortable than a regular plane. And no doubt no passengers find themselves stuck in the middle seat of the middle aisle with the broken entertainment station next to a snoring neighbor whose head rocks about intermittently over an 8-hour flight. Air Force One has its own dining room, conference room, office, medical facility. Operations can be done here, and a doctor is always on board, as well as luxurious quarters for both the president and the first lady. It has areas for staff, media, or anyone else who might be on board, and also a couple of galleys that can accommodate 100 people when it comes to mealtime. As for technology, Boeing tells us that these planes are equipped with state-of-the-art navigation, electronic and communications equipment, its interior configurations and furnishings, self-contained baggage loader, and front and aft air stairs. Boeing doesn't go into details regarding the tech on board, but we found out that there are around 85 onboard telephones, around 19 TVs, lots of two-way radios, fax machines, and of course, connected computers. Like Boeing says, it really is a home from home, or should we say an office away from office. On top of this, the plane has to be made from special material, and we're told that the 238 miles of wiring that connects all this tech, twice the length of wiring on any normal 747, is protected by something called heavy shielding. Yep, even if there was a nuclear blast, the president would still have all of his connections intact, and perhaps not even have his game of Angry Birds friends interrupted. In terms of defense technology, some of this is a secret, and for good reason, but some sources tell us that it's equipped with flares that can outsmart heat-seeking missiles, and also has electronic countermeasures which can jam radar signals of enemies. As for weapons on board, well, that bit might just be classified, but we know that fighters are likely never far away anyway. We're told that many areas of the plane are restricted to a very few people, so it's not like journalists can just go anywhere they want. There's some level of secrecy when it comes to just what is on this plane. The president probably doesn't have much to worry about when flying, with one aviation website calling the planes the most secure in the world. All of this comes at a cost, and the website Defense News told us that in 2018, the new planes Boeing will supply will set the White House, well, the taxpayer, back a cool $3.9 billion. No doubt these planes are going to be good, very good, as good as can be, the best. President Trump agrees, saying in 2018, it's going to be the top of the line, the top in the world, and it's going to be red, white, white and blue, which I think is appropriate. So what about this fridge? 24 million? Okay, so a smart fridge might tell you that you left the door open via your phone, but one of these things will only cost you a few $1,000s. What does a multi-million-dollar fridge do? Produce its own food out of thin air, or perhaps shrink you and your family and let you ski inside the freezer compartment? We shall explain. Okay, so we lied. The fridge, or two fridges, didn't have a price tag of $24 million. The actual cost was $23,657,671, according to the Washington Post. We're told that the plane had 5 chiller units, but 2 needed replacing, and that was the figure Boeing came up with. So, give or take a few bucks, each of these units would cost $12 million. Is Boeing just taking advantage of the US government and the American taxpayer? Defense News says that this is not the case, and the main reason stuff on this plane costs so much is because it's so bespoke. What does that mean? Well, let's imagine a worst-case scenario, a kind of Mars attacks narrative in which the president and up to 100 others are in the sky, while all hell is breaking loose down on Earth. We know that the plane can stay up in the air indefinitely, and let's just imagine that the president and others had to stay up there while the militaries of the world defeated the bulbous-headed aliens. 100 bellies take a lot of filling, especially when they need filling over a period of days, and this is the main reason why Boeing is charging a princely sum for the fridges. Defense News tells us the requirement for Air Force One is the ability to feed passengers and crew for weeks without resupplying. That means storing about 3,000 meals in massive refrigerators and freezers below the passenger cabin. These fridges, we're told, are also very reliable. They have backup systems and much more advanced technology than fridges you'll find elsewhere. We're also told that the folks that make these fridges that fit them, they're all sworn to secrecy and given high level of security clearances. This all adds up to the cost. This is also a problem when we try to find out what is so special about these things, because Air Force One doesn't let the media know all the details. An Air Force One spokesperson said this: "The engineering required to design, manufacture, conduct environmental testing, and obtain Federal Aviation Administration certification are included in the cost." Boeing was also contacted by some of the US media, and the company offered this statement: "Only the US Air Force can discuss that airplane or that work. You'll need to contact their press desk in the Pentagon." In that same article, the Air Force added a little more information about the fridges, but not much. A spokesperson said there are 4 different areas for cold food storage throughout the aircraft, 5 chillers and 26 climate-controlled compartments. We're replacing 2 cold chiller units, which includes 8 climate-controlled compartments. In fact, none of the big media, the New York Times, the Guardian over in the UK, could offer a detailed explanation of why the fridges were so expensive. One consultant speaking to the Guardian did say the money wasn't being wasted. In a statement he said, "It's not a contractor issue, it's a requirements issue. It's not people getting rich." That's about all we can tell you, but we'll also add that the government canceled the contract because, in the words of one person, the contract just didn't pass the smell test. That doesn't mean the fridges smelled badly, it's an idiomatic term meaning the price or the product was questionable. The government said it won't get the new fridges, and instead it will wait until 2024 when the new planes are delivered. Just out of interest, we had to look around for the world's most expensive fridges. There were more household fridges rather than giant industrial ones, but we found one fridge said to be the size of a car. The magnificent-looking thing is made by an Italian firm called Meneghini, and the fridge is called La Cambusa. It costs $41,500 if you get the best version. You can even get a TV added to the door. It's quite the fridge, alright, but nothing compared to Air Force One's behemoth that never got fitted. Now we want to ask you what you think. Could these fridges be worth every cent? Maybe you have an idea as to what makes them so expensive, other than what we've said already. Also, be sure to check out our other show, Why is the Government Terrified of This Hacker? Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.